Yes, writing for the web, April 2021.
Okay, that's promising.
Good.
Right. This is kind of comes from work with professional services, where you're trying to demonstrate or prove expertise. You can't just assert expertise. So it's where you're writing lots of content. So it all comes from kind of one set of research from the Nielsen group, as far as I understand, that visitors skim read. Although you might spend ages writing 1,500 words of glorious words about the difference between limited versus LLP companies, which should you set up? You just want to prove people are going to skim read, looking for answers to their problems, and mainly answering the question, are you the guys I should contact? So they kind of read along the first paragraphs, and then the eye scan down the left-hand side, looking for, is this the sort of information I'm after? And they carry on scanning, reading a little bit here and there. So you kind of immediately conclude that if people are reading from left to right and coming back to the left-hand edge, that centered text is wrong, because there's no fixed left-hand side. So let me offer the summary. You want to get a consistent vertical rhythm, a consistent line height. You want to, for skim reading, you want to assert and then justify. You want to use lists. You want the active voice, not the passive. Paragraphs, nice short paragraphs. You want to get the heading structure, one H1 heading maybe in the hero graphic, then a few H2s, and each H2 has multiple H3 headings. And headings say what the section's about. That's the summary. So let me talk about it. The vertical rhythm, it's kind of like thinking that easy to read text is like one of your old school exercise books, where you've got a heading, then you've got the body text on the line below. And usually to finish a paragraph, you've got a blank line. A blank line means, right, I finished saying what I'm saying. Now I'm going to talk about some other subject, and I've got a heading for that. Similarly, if you're trying to assert justify, and you're justifying with a set of bullet points, you want to tie those bullet points directly to the line below the body text, so you don't have a bottom margin on the body text. So the trick is to get the CSS representing a consistent line height for the ordered, unordered lists. If you've got the paragraph black margin on the bottom, which is one line height worth, to then put a negative margin in on the ordered lists, unordered lists, to pull it up a line. So it then becomes just easy to read. If I haven't explained that sufficiently clearly, and I fear I haven't, please ask. You also want to write in this inverted pyramid style of assert and then justify, because traditionally I was taught, oh, you write an introduction, then you talk about your history and the background and maybe some justification, and finally right at the bottom you come up with a conclusion. It was the kind of classic school essay, which is completely wrong for writing either business reports or writing for the web. You want to start with the main point. This is what we want you to remember. This is what you want to do, with then supporting information. And so, and often then your thinking gets in the way, because you write as you think. So you write down the first idea, factor, then another one, scratch your head a bit, come up with another couple of reasons, and then finally unveil the conclusion right at the bottom of the paragraph. So the trick is, when you finally got to the conclusion, cut it and then paste it at the beginning of the paragraph. How do you remember to do this? I was trying to think of a way of remembering to do this, and all I could remember was the song "We're Off to See the Wizard," which is really clear. That's the conclusion. This is what you're going to do, guys. Because. All right, it finishes up by repeating the conclusion, but start with the conclusion and then justify it, because it makes skim reading easy. If people agree with your conclusion, right, they'll just drop down to the next paragraphs. Lists are good because they're pretty easy to skim read. So what you want to do is to introduce a list with, for example, either or, includes or features, anything where there's a series of small points, examples or whatever, you want to convert into a list. So for instance, I came across this a couple of days ago. A graphic designer who never seemed to lay out text properly said, this is a great website. I found this. We have a grand vision and operating system that makes quantum software portable across qubit technologies. And I tried reading this paragraph and I just lost the will to live. It's 45, the first sentence is 45 words. Yet if you lay it out properly, we have a grand vision and operating system that, first bullet point, makes quantum software. Second is scalable, teases the highest possible performance, works even for applications. It's really clear that it's all about the operating system, and there are 4 reasons why this is a really cool operating system. And then the data flow on Arctic was the start of another bulleted list. It's laid out like this. It's the same words, but just laid out as a list of reasons. Then you want to use the active. People, especially sales guys, if you're working with the companies, tend to write in the passive. Don't. It's the active tense. Subject, verb, object. The cat sat on the mat. Not the mat was sat on by the cat. It's easier for people to visualize what you're saying. You start with the subject. Yeah, they can picture that. The subject doing something on an object. Life is easy. And sentence length. Try and keep it to 15, 20 words. If the Inside Government blog research quotes that a sentence that's 14 words is going to be 90% understood. And if people are skim reading, you do want it at least understood. But if the sentence is 43 words, only 10% will understand what the hell you're saying there. And I followed Quick Sprout and the links at the bottom on copywriting tweaks, and presumably he knows what he's doing. This is a long article. The page just goes on and on and on. It's over 2,000 words, yet, and 250 sentences, yet it's only about 9 words a sentences. It's short sentences and relatively short, simple words. The other thing he's done is to get the line length right. often you see lines that just stretch right across the page. It's kind of hard to get the line length right on responsive themes. But you want the line length kind of 45 to 75, some say 85 characters. And there's quite a nice little bookmarklet, the links in the text, on CSS tricks, which colorizes the text at 45 to 75 characters, so you can see if you more or less got the line length right on your sites. So on the right hand side is an example of Quick Sprout's writing, where he's got one short sentences as a paragraph if he's saying something key, or usually just 2 or 3 sentences in the paragraph. And I do find his stuff easy to read because he gets the sentence length right, mainly gets it right. So yes, let's skip this because it's so here was the question of, and it's an example actually. I've told the company, it's a Cambridge company that prides itself on content, in the hope that they'd ask. I told them I use an example from your website in my presentations on bad writing for the web, in the hope that they actually ask me, well, what's so bad about our writing? And well, this is the example I use. So if there was time, my question would be, well, how would you improve this chunk of text with CPL's team based in Cambridge? What's wrong with it and how could you transform it? Now, if you want that discussion, do you want the discussion or do you want the answer?
We can guess, but I think you can present an answer first.
Yeah, give us the answer.
All right, I'll present the answer. I'd lay it out like that. Everything left justified and just bullets for each of the skills in there that the company offers, the type of where their channels they use, and to how you speak to us. Because what you're trying to create is someone's going to glance at, say, the first paragraph and just see, right, they've got all the skills I need, or the particular skills I need. Yes, oh, they do website, social media channel, blah, blah, blah. That block of the text laid out like that, I would suggest, can be assimilated in a glance. And the image on the right-hand side doesn't really say anything about their company or boost their sales proposition. It's just an image that's kind of there looking pretty to fill up space. It's the text that sells the company. So at least make it readable. You do want people to be reading that text, which in the first version, if I can I go back?
Yeah.
I would argue nobody's going to read that. It's just too difficult to read.
Having opened it up into those lists there, wouldn't you then also be tempted to put in some calls to action to give them some more information about what you've just written about, buttons for each of them?
Agree. Yeah, that's true. That would be really nice to do. I think it was just a slice, one section of a longer page from the company. So I suspect there were calls to action below.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Yes, I'm hoping somebody's going to come and disagree with me, because the last time I presented this, the graphic designer said, oh yes, but that looks better.
Does it?
It looks better, yeah, but it's horrible to read. It's just horrible. It's just a picture.